Hi, everyone. Welcome to the 30th edition of the Node Operator Community Call. We have a very quaint agenda for you today, very small, but with some recognizable names. So we have the normal validator set updates with Iryna. We have some CSM testnet news from Dima, actually. Sasha is there in the chat. I'm assuming she can answer all your questions as well. And we have a segment that's aimed at the Triggerable Withdrawals update. Raman is going to tell us a bit about that. But first, let's hand over the screen to Iryna with the ValSet updates. If you're ready, please.
Yeah, sharing my screen now, so you should be able to see it. Hello, everyone. So actually, June validator set updates is here, and let's start with Q2 Lido deposits in the module. So what we have and how it was allocated. So actually community staking module is full, and while it's waiting for the on-chain approval of stake share limit, so currently it's 2%, it should be proposed to increase it to 3% during July on-chain voting. So those who are interested to run deposits to run validators through Lido protocol can do this finally. Simple DVT module, as a result, has grown the most, so it added 1.03 percent points and reached 3.39% of Lido stake share. So now together Simple DVT and CSM account for close of 500,000 staked ETH, so it's almost 1.5% of the total Ethereum stake. So actually, it's a great number. And besides that, we can see that during last month, Simple DVT model has grown almost 87,000 of ETH. At the same time, as you might see on the screen, so curated model share decreased 1.3 percent points. So actually, this is because this model mainly process all validators exits, but you may see also one newly deposited operators. As you know, there were no new onboarding rounds, but actually this newly deposited operator is Peer 2. So following a security breach back in May 2024, they were sitting zero validators, and finally they have new validators. So currently they run 2030 358 validators, and now we can take closer look at Simple DVT module. So actually there's something else to recap this time. So in June, protocol deposits activated 2,735 new Simple DVT validators. So currently all available clusters are fully allocated. Besides that, 15 new SSV network cohort 3 clusters received their first 5 validators. So actually they were sitting at zero for a couple of months, but currently they are running them, and following a 30-day monitoring period, and if performance is satisfactory, it will be proposed to raise their key limits to 80 per each clusters. But that's not all the news for Simple DVT module. So actually there is one more, as in May, Simple DVT celebrated its first anniversary, and it's a huge milestone, and you can find how many this model achieved during this time. So actually lady contributors did a small recap for you, so I will pause here for a couple of seconds so they stay on the screen, and you will be able to scan this afterwards or find it in the recap of this call. So actually you can scan it and check an article which recaps Simple DVT module today, how it grows and how it contributes to Ethereum diversity, resilience, and decentralization. So moving next, so another great news is DVT is coming to the curated model. So actually what we have seen from past times that both Simple DVT running small and more decentralized clusters has consistently outperformed average Lido and the network performances, and larger, more centralized clusters outside of Lido had great performance data. So it's clear there's some opportunity to utilize for Lido-based validators, and especially within curated modules. So LDO token holders approved a proposal to support the use of OBOL and SSP DVT solutions within the curated model. There's a couple of guidelines to ensure its safe and responsible adoption. So those operators interested in deploying DVT in their inter-operator setup, so within their own keys, are encouraged to share this in Discord. So the link will be shared in the recap, so you can find it there. And for node operators planning to utilize a key split, please communicate with Lido contributors and test the process on the Hoodia testnet. So it's enough time to monitor performance and everything is okay. So a couple of guidelines you can find on the screen, and it was shared earlier on Lido Twitter and on the research forum, and as well will be shared in the recap. Moving next, so Lido Community Stake and Trumps welcomes a few new participants. So actually, it's Kryptonite Academy. So this is a Web3 education platform, and they're working with different groups to educate them, and within like Web3 ecosystem. And besides that, a new one addition would be Ethereum staking. So through a couple of workshops that would be selected for participants, and they will receive this beautiful DepNode hardware and will be running their first validator with community staking model. Another one who joins is Nethermind, so you like know these guys very well. They're not strangers to Lido or Ethereum ecosystem, and they had their own client as well as running a node operator within Lido. So they will sponsor for engineers to run validators and become independent stakers via the community staking module as well. Moving next, there's a couple of other operational updates I would like to mention this time. So actually, Lido and Ethereum block proposal standard node operator protocol with 3 was supported. So token holders approved the upgrade, and the previous policy was upgraded, adding APM allowed list as well as a couple of more requisites. Another one is commit boost was added to the APM's allowed list. So actually only PBS model was officially added, and no other models have been vetted by APM committee at this time. So please note usage of sidecar might still follow Lido approved MAV relay list, which you may find on the node operator hub. Another one news is Lido mainnet vetted release list has been updated. So manifold was moved from main use to must use some list on the mainnet. Actually, no actions from your sides required. And the last one is regarding gas limit. So actually we have seen a successful trial on Hoodia with 60 million, and curated node operators started to raise the gas limit to 45 on mainnet. And actually for those who is interested to track more about gas limits and for gas limits within Lido operators, how to do that, you may find a very nice dashboard created by Lido contributors. So either via this link or just scan the QR code, and you can track it in kind of real time as it's updated daily. So you can now see that 33.3% of gas limits from Lido operators raise its gas limit to 45 millions. And actually, that's all from my side. So you can find more details via this QR code. So it's linked to June validator set updates on the node operator portal. So as usual, you can find more details here, and all the links from this talk or talks from Dmitry and Raman, you will be able to find in the recap. That's all from my side. So back to you, Sven.
Thanks, Iryna. A nice dashboard, by the way, on Dune. Yeah, great. That was a big recap, by the way. Just 1 month. There's a lot of stuff going on. It's all pre-ECC, I guess, but it's a big list if you sum it up. So thanks for that. Up next, we have Dima. talking about CSM, of course, but again, a lot of updates there as well.
Hello, Sven, and hello, everyone. We will continue our journey through the updates, for sure, this time with CSM updates. But before we start with the updates on what's next with version 2, let's take a look at what we have in CSM today. And we have a pretty good numbers, I would say. First of all, we have 440 registered node operators, out of which 372 are actually active, which means that they either have active keys or they have depositable keys, which is a very decent result. And you might expect this discrepancy because of the permissionless nature of the module. It means that node operators can join and leave without asking for any permissions. So that's up to them. And anyway, 372 is a very good number, given that CSM has been launched only in November last year. So CSM is still younger than 1 year, and we are only about to celebrate its anniversary sometime in November this year. We have around 6,000 validators, and as Iryna mentioned, it accounts for 0.5% of total Ethereum network being now operated by node operators in the community staking module, which is absolutely great, both for Ethereum and for Lido protocol for sure. All of these validators are protected with more than 10,000 STE worth of bonded tokens. And the part that I personally like the most is the performance. Even though the performance of the community staking module is not that brilliant as the performance of the other curated modules in Lido, it is still very close to network average, meaning that community stakers are fully capable to compete with the professional operators when it comes to performance. Now let's talk about what's up with CSM version 2 proposals and what things are worth highlighting since the last time we've met on the previous call. First of all is identified community stakers framework. The framework that is abuse and Sybil resistant by design, transparent to the community, comes with no mandatory KYC and allows for easy access, both for seasoned stakers and for the beginner stakers. And the purpose of this framework is for sure to identify community stakers, to figure out what node operators in CSM are actually community stakers and what are not, who are professionals or whatsoever. Because at the end of the day, it is not enough just to build a permissionless solution to ensure decentralization and Sybil resistance of the Ethereum network. It is also very important to understand who these operators are. So the ICS framework, or Identified Community Stakers framework, is the key. The framework itself is built on top of 3 pillars, which we call proofs. The first of them is proof of experience, the way or the information that will help Lido contributors and CSM committee to figure out if this or that address belongs to an experienced validator, both on testnet and on mainnet. The second one is proof of engagement, the proof that helps Lido contributors to understand if the addresses provided belong to the person who is really involved in the system, who is really involved in staking, who is really involved in Lido ecosystem and staking ecosystem in general. And the last, but definitely not least, is proof of humanity. The way to prove that you are not just a pesky Sybil trying to create tons of operators and pretend to be multiple entities, but you are indeed an operator, an independent operator, a real human. If you want to learn more about Identified Community Stakers Framework, you can scan the QR code on the screen and go straight to Lido Research Forum, where you will be able to find a more detailed description of that. But the main update that I want to share with you today about this system is actually the scores. So while the system itself has been proposed a while ago, the actual scores and the actual sources of these proofs were not disclosed because they were in development. And luckily, now we have them all and we can disclose them. So let's first talk about proof of experience. To prove your experience, you will have a variety of pathways. So first of all, your address might be included into either ETH stakers, solo stakers list, or stakecat solo stakers list. And if we're speaking about StakeCat, both lists for Ethereum and Gnosis are accounted for. The other option is to have Obol Technique, and depending on the level of the Technique credential, either it is base, bronze, or silver, you will get different amount of points. You can be a verified SSV operator with the mark that you are a home staker or you're validating from home, and that would also give you a certain amount of points. But this is all mostly about experienced mainnet validators, right? What if you are not on the mainnet yet? Well, you can join CSM Testnet and participate with an acceptable performance for a while and get points for that. If you are already on CSM mainnet, well, great. It means that you already have a proof of experience, for sure, given that you've been performing well, and you will get points for that. And the last way is simple DVT. Both testnet and mainnet participation will also give you points here. Now let's talk about proof of humanity. And here, as it is proposed to use human passport or passport XYZ as the main source of proof of humanity. It is a well-known Sybil-resistant proof of humanity protocol where you can get certain amount of points depending on what score you will get within this application. But on top of that, you can also be a part of private Lido Circles group. And if you have never heard of Circles, I highly encourage you to Google about this project. This is an amazing project that basically implements the ideas of the real world finance, but on a blockchain. And it is the core idea of this project is trust between people. So if you are in the Lido private circle group, you will get additional points for that. And you can also provide your Discord and confirm the ownership of that, or your Twitter account and confirm the ownership of that. That's all about proof of humanity. And finally, proof of engagement, because engagement is essential. And it's a very good tool, actually, combined with the others to ensure Sybil resistance. So if you've been participating in Lido Aragon votes or Lido Snapshot votes, not with just one LDO, but at least with 100 LDO in the past, well, that's a good indicator of engagement and you will get points for that. If you've been claiming Lido odds, which you will have a specific bonus on this call, you will be able to get score. If you are an active participant of Lido community, both on research forum and in Discord, thanks to an amazing application developed by, I wouldn't say former Lido contributors, but yeah, well, I can say former Lido contributors. Yeah, some of the developers of this application are indeed former Lido contributors. Well, using this application, you will be scored using a very sophisticated system that will analyze your activity both in Discord and research forum and will grant you a score that might be converted into certain amount of points in this ICS framework. The next thing is Git collabs. And if you've been contributing to Ethereum aligned projects and you have Git collabs, cool, you will get scores for that. So that's the recap of the ICS scores. You can also find them on research forum. And now you have the idea of what you need to do or what sources you need to check to figure out if you have chances of being qualified as identified community staker. And I swear, if you are a real person and if you've been active on Ethereum for a while and in a staking ecosystem for a while, even just on Testnet, it wouldn't be a problem for you to get identified as a community staker. Moving up next, and the next thing is release plan for CSM version 2. We are still at the very early stages of this thing, but again, that's the plan. We are in July 2025, and CSM Testnet will be launched soon. And after that, we will have a snapshot vote with all the stuff that I've explained to you about CSM v2. Then CSM version 2 grace period would start, which would allow people to get away from the queue if they want with no additional charges. But the grace period would also come with the share increase for CSM, meaning that the queue that we currently have for CSM validators would finally get processed. And then in the August, we expect the several audits that are currently ongoing for CSM to get finalized. And in the early September, we expect CSM version 2 mainnet release. Now let's talk about testnet, the main topic of our presentation today. So what you need to know about Testnet is these four basic things. First of all, no migration or no additional actions required from the current participants of CSM version 1 testnet, and the same would apply for CSM version 1 to version 2 transition on mainnet. No migration, no software update, no any actions. You can just enjoy version 2 experience with no actions, with no additional efforts. You will be able to try an updated CSM UI with a full set of new features that are absolutely cool, in my opinion. You will be able to start collecting your proof of experience points for testnet participation if you haven't been on mainnet or not in the other sources of proof experience. And for sure, you will help Lido contributors to make CSM even better, even more robust solution by reporting bugs on CSM UI, or just sharing your experience. How do you feel about CSM version 2? And the main question now is when the testnet is going to be launched. So the testnet for CSM version 2 on Hudi will be launched this Thursday, July 17th. So starting from this Thursday, you will be able to enjoy V2 experience on CSM testnet. And as I said before, there is a small bonus for you guys today. So we will definitely have our regular odds that we have on each and every community call that serves as one of the building blocks in your proof of engagement. But specifically because of the testnet launch, this week, we give you the opportunity to claim not one, but 2 odds on this community call. So go scan this QR code and it will give you 1 additional point in Galax. And if you will have, I believe, at least 4 points in total on Galax, you will get the points in the identification system. So do not miss your chance. Do not wait for a long time. Just scan the QR code now. It's that simple. You only need to connect your wallet and claim this thing. And right after my talk, there would be another QR code. So keep your phones in your hands and claim both of them. And with that said, I will see you all on Testnet. I will be happy to answer all of your questions in Discord, on Lido Research Forum, or wherever else you will be able to find me. And thank you so much. In ETH, we trust.
Thanks, Dima. If we have questions, we have some questions now in the chat, actually. Are you ready for them?
Yes, I am.
There's a question from Daniel. He said, do you have connections to the authors of the list, so ETH stake and stakeout lists, so they can create a current version before CSM v2 goes live? So I'm guessing he's been very active right now, and curious if he's on the next iteration of that list. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, for sure. We are definitely in touch both with Stakecat and ETH stakers. So if the community is willing to ask them and to support them in this update of the list, I would definitely support that as well. The only thing to keep in mind is that creating and updating this list takes a lot of time and effort. So I will definitely reach out to both of the teams and ask them if they are able to update the lists on their side. And the more people from the community would support the same movement, the better the chances of them actually updating the list.
All right, thanks. And there's another question from Crimo999. I feel so old when I read out these names. So if the CSM limit share on the on-chain votes will pass, how long after that will the change actually be applied?
So the actual voting lasts, I believe, for 9 days now with dual governance enabled. And as soon as the vote gets quorum and gets sufficient support, and this 9-day period passes with no objections from STF holders at the very end, the effect will be applied immediately. And after that, the only limiter will be the actual flow of the deposits into the protocol and out of the protocol. So we cannot promise that right after the vote, the deposits would appear in CSM. But what can be said for sure is that any new deposit that will be allocated to the validator in Lido after the vote will be allocated to CSM just because of the mechanics and because of the state shares of the corresponding modules. So curated module is the default one, so it's always allocated last. And simple DBT is currently sitting at more than 3% of a share, meaning that up until the point when CSM is filled to 3% of Lido share, all of the new deposits will go to CSM, and that would start happening as soon as the vote is passed and as soon as new deposits arrive to the Lido protocol.
Yeah, thanks. So the deposits are obviously a very important factor, but let's hope for those to come in. Thanks, Dima. Up next we have the OAT actually, so we can put that up on screen. But maybe less than you would think. Raman's going to talk about that. So Raman, once you're ready, please take it away.
Hi everyone. So I'll take a few words about Triggerable withdrawals. First of all, I want to talk a little bit about what do we have now. So we have a smart contract on the execution layer that named as Validator Exit Bus Oracle. It's responsible for requesting validator exits via events. So actually, node operator currently hosts the bot named validator rejector that tracks all these events, and as soon as it sees events in this contract, it sends a voluntary exit message to the consensus layer and start validator exiting on the consensus layer. So with upcoming triggerable withdrawals in Lido protocol, there will be another optional approach that could be triggered by anyone. So anyone can trigger validators to exit on the execution layer side via 7002 contract. This is a new contract that was introduced with Spectra upgrade hard fork. And as soon as any validator was requested to exit via validator exit bus, I mean, such event was minted in the validator exit bus contract. Anyone can trigger this validator and start exiting on the consensus layer. So, but there will be some kind of additional fee. First of all, this anyone guy should pay for the gas, and the next should pay for the special exit fee that presented in 7002 contract. It can be utilized also by node operators. For example, if there are issues with their infrastructure, exit infrastructure, they always can to avoid their validators will be late. To avoid that, they could trigger exits on the execution layer side, just with this mechanism. Yes, and also the next one, this is new easy tracks for the presented for our correlated node operators and simple DVT committee. So they will be able to ask their validators to exit in the validator exit bus contract. But only on their own. So created node operator can ask his validator to be exited. Maybe it could be useful in some very rare cases when the node operator lost access to his validators infrastructure. Next one, I want to announce the new version of Validator Rejector. Also, we introduced trust mode in this. So previously, our node operators have to fill the allow list for our Oracle members. So this way, we checked that the events was minted in the validator exit bus contract was really executed, asked to exit via our oracles, but there will be additional ways to ask such validators to exit via validator exit bus contract, such as Aragon voting and or easy tracks that I presented before. So in case if node operator runs a validator ejector near his execution layer node, or he 100% trusts this node, he can enable trust mode and forget about any operational work except uploading exit keys, for example. But if not, there will be additional setup required for the node operators that wants to utilize easy tracks. And also, in case of Aragon voting, there will be requirements to add to variables transaction hash of this Aragon vote enactment to be sure validator ejector will fetch and properly validate these exit events and send exit messages to the consensus layer. No, and of course, as before, allow list for validator exit for validator members should be modified in case of any changes. So here's a sum up. So new permissionless flow to exit validators on the execution layer. Only validators that was asked to exit in validator exit bus oracle, of course. New exit tracks for our created node operators and for simple DVT committee. And new version of validator ejector. So live on hooded testnet in few days and live on mainnet preliminary 13 August. That's all. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Raman. We got a very, it's a question that I have, I've had when I've seen this this demo before. You have a very triggering slide that says anyone can trigger the exit. So I think it's important to say that we have the validator exit bus oracle, which is basically a list of validators that have to be exited. So when the natural outflows are make it necessary for validators to be exited, basically the VBO does the exit bus oracle like adds them to the list of validators that should be exited. And currently our node operators monitor that list and they send automated or manually, they send the exit messages for those validators. Now in the future update, once we have triggerable withdrawals, that's not necessary anymore. Is that correct? So the node operators don't have to manually send out these validator exits, but anyone can literally trigger those exits. The node operators don't have to do it anymore. Where the only downside is that triggering it using triggerable exit costs money, costs gas and fees, and manual exits are more or less free. Is that correct?
Yep. Not manual, but voluntary exit messages signed by validators.
Yeah, like a normal initiated exit anyway. It could be a manual one, but there's too many of them for them to do it. So they have an automation set up, but they could very well do it manually, I guess. So that will still be going forward the most obvious way for at least node operators within the curator set, for example. That will be the main way to keep exiting validators that are listed in the VBO. Is that correct?
Yep, we still expect node operators to exit via voluntary messages.
Yeah. So there's currently, if they exit too late, there's a delayed period. So after 24 hours, their validator is marked as delayed, and another validator is requested to exit. And if that period goes up to 4 days, it's considered delinquent and they actually get a penalty. So they get lowered income. Now, this almost never happens. I don't think it's happened in the past 2 years. And the only incident that I know of was right after the withdrawals went live, and people are still getting used to the mechanism. But these penalties are going to disappear as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, they burned. Yep.
But are delinquent node operators still going to be penalized going forward?
No, after with introducing of triggerable withdrawals, they only will be warned manually by not operator managers, and then we expect that created node operators will be professionals and will exit in time. Actually,
yeah. I mean, they always do, but it's interesting that now that we don't have this option anymore of relying on node operators to exit their validators, that we had to use an incentive like penalties. With triggerable exits, that's no longer necessary because we can trigger the exits ourselves if it's necessary, or anyone can trigger the exits, which is really cool, by the way. As long as it's been earmarked by the oracles that they have to be exited, I think it's a cool mechanism. It's important to know for node operators that they can't toss their exit infrastructure in the trash right now. It's still going to be used, so just keep that running for now and for the foreseeable future as well. I think that's it for now. Oh, there's one more question. For Dima, if he's still around, how's that Haleshki testnet activity? Is that counting towards the ICS as well?
Yeah, sorry, I'm back. So due to the incident that happened on Haleshki, in general with Haleshki, we are currently thinking if we would be able or if we would be not able to consider performance records from the Haleshki testnet. I think we would be able to do that, but only up to the point when the very unfortunate Spectra upgrade happened on Haleshki testnet. But it is still to be investigated further if this data is still reliably retrievable from the nodes that are left in the network. After the official network shutdown, this information would no longer be used and would no longer be available. So I highly recommend joining Hudi testnet. It's a pretty easy and streamlined process, and especially for those who have no mainnet experience, joining the testnet and giving it a try is the best way to ensure a sufficient performance on mainnet and a very smooth experience on mainnet. Thanks,
Dima. Sorry, Raman, for cutting you off. I just want to say thank you for that talk. That's very insightful, and I want to thank our viewers at home for participating as well. And I can only ask that you stay tuned for next month when we have another community call, possibly in a different format, but stay tuned for those updates. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for watching the 30th edition of the Node Operator Community Call. Bye.